Good morning. It's Harvey Jackson. Just going to go through what I saw as interesting. Pierre Polyev talked about the Fraser Institute taxes versus necessities, and I'm not going to get into too much detail, but and then the trade optimism from the Japan deal. So here, taxes versus necessities of life put up by the Fraser Institute. Quite interesting when you see how things have changed since 1961. Now, that's a long time ago, but just if we take it as a graphic, you can see here where you're using it as a baseline, you're spending 48,000 of what the average cash income of 114 in taxes versus shelter, food, and clothing on average in Canada. It's just mind baffling that there's that much taxes versus the other necessities of life, or what we think is necessities of life. Food and shelter for sure, clothing for sure as well, especially in Canada. Philippines say U.S. will still pay tariffs on rice, corn, and farm products. So a little bit more details coming out of this deal that I would have, I kind of made fun of it. It was at 20%, now it's at 19. Well, the U.S. is still paying the tariffs for the food that they need, that they're buying on the egg side. Uh, Australia relaxes the curbs on the U.S. beef, but they're also suggesting, even with these relaxing of these tariffs, that there's still going to be a slowdown of buying U.S. beef, and it's just a fact of what's going to go on here as you make trade frictions in the world. Unless you absolutely need a U.S. product, you're not going to get it. You're going to find another way to get it from somewhere else. Trade deal hopes lift the Europe ahead of the ECB meeting. So their hopes that it's going to be 15%, same as Japan, and I think everybody's going to be driving towards that, and that's actually lifted the economy in a lot of ways. And Europe is starting to stabilize their inflation, and if they can get this deal somewhere in the neighborhood between 15 and 20, it's talked down here about closer to 20, but if you can get a deal that's not exorbitant and yeah, 15% is probably can be absorbed. Just maybe one off here, just the corn going into U.S. or going into China. Mike Castle just talked about this, and it's just there is a deficit of corn versus what they can grow. So this is their uh, production versus domestic consumption. They still hold a pile of corn, and they're maybe using up some of their stocks in these friction years, the Trump years here. Let's just have a look at the weather. You can see that there's some storm that keeps on passing through just south of the border. A little bit might be hitting Manitoba, but it's hard to say. And then some drier areas and warmer. Now, I still debate whether that's actually going to be a problem or not. The temperature for August, it looks like it's going to be cooler, and that might be okay, but it looks like it could be setting up some ridges in there. Here's your active weather, a little storm going across the Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or Manitoba U.S. border, and little flakes of storm above there as well. So the last 7 days, you can see that or 14 days, there's been some rainfall that's probably just in time. It's not going to recharge the soil moisture, especially in the Canadian side, but it's adequate. And talked to a few more clients, and they're happy with what they've seen. That's for sure. Let's have a look at this. So you get different weather models. Here's a European model. It actually puts in more moisture than some of the other ones. And then you got the GFS. It actually doesn't put in the same kind of moisture. There's big holes where there's no moisture, or very little. And this is the GEFS, and it's showing some of the same things. So just the discrepancies in the models slightly. It's more about the accumulation over the next 14 days. And we're still going to need that just in time rains for sure. Canola's only up 370 and had a big trading range day yesterday. We're up above the $700 mark there. Soybean oil is up as well, and all the wheats are up. So it's a green day, pretty well across the board for everything, and that's a result of some trade optimism. And so let's just have a look at canola. We're at the top end of that channel, and at some moving averages and trying to trade above them. So that's a positive signal. So if we can break out, we could possibly get up into that range and should definitely be pricing more grain as we get there. I'm still liking the idea of protecting the downside here, as this crop doesn't seem to be getting smaller in Canada at all at this point. Rapeseed, it's still in this upward trajectory here, but it's up against some longer term moving averages here. The look at the soybean oil futures is just still, it looks like it's going to try to continue to make higher highs on the short term. Soybean futures, it doesn't have the same look. It's up against some of the long-term moving averages and not wanting to trade through it. And the opposite is on crude oil or crude palm. It's actually trading through the long-term moving averages and still got a nice trajectory here of upward movement. Crude oil, green day, but it hardly shows up on the screen when you got the big trading ranges that we've seen with conflicts and everything else that was going on. Canadian dollar still trying to get back up to some of those highs there. Will it continue beyond that? I'm skeptical, but when we look at longer term, it can go a little bit higher here. So we may want to be patient and get a little bit closer to equal. Just have a look at wheat, and they still have a problem with whatever's going on with my bar chart, but still the same as here. What I'm looking at is slow stochastics as a buy here to try to get some. I'm not picking a bottom. It seasonally and what the slow stochastics is telling me and other indicators that we are trying to make a bottom here. It's not a full reversal, but it's looking like it. And here we got your Kansas. It looks like it's trying to come off the bottom there as well. Same thing with Chicago. And then live cattle making higher highs. I think there's a cattle on feed report tomorrow, so we'll maybe get a little bit more information on how tight this supply is on the feeder cattle and live cattle. And hogs are starting to try to make a move up higher here as well. That's all I have for you today.